There are several stories, but first there's a reminder of that Taoist adage: to study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to lose the self. To lose the self is to become one with and enlightened by all things. And when we become one with and enlightened by all things, we drop our mind and our body, and the mind and the body of all others. And from this, no trace of enlightenment remains, and this no trace continues endlessly. And then there's a story of the young man who sought enlightenment from the very earliest age. He studied the ancient books, but then he learned that he could not progress any further unless he came into the presence of an enlightened master. So he went on a quest to find that being, and he went through many hardships and travails until he finally came to the foot of a mountain which he had to climb to reach the abode of this master. But after many more hardships and the arduous climb, he came into the presence of the master and came under his tutelage. He stayed with the master for some years. And after this time, one day he approached the master and he said, "Master, I'm so grateful for your teachings. Please, please, what can I give you in return for all you have given me?" The master remained silent, but the young man harangued him, "Please, master, tell me, what can I do for you?" Finally, with a deep sigh, the master said, "You see that stream at the bottom of the mountain? Go and bring to me a cup of cool, fresh water from the spring that feeds that stream." The master then bowed his head. The young man went off so happily, jauntily, to fulfill this wish of his master. But it took him some time to descend the mountain. When he arrived there, it was night time. He saw a light of a farmhouse nearby, so he sought hospitality for the evening. He was welcomed by the farmer and his family, who were very impressed by this graceful, comely young man. They sought his knowledge, and he gave it willingly. Day after day, they begged him to stay with them, particularly the young and pretty daughter of the farmer. After some days, they fell in love, and after some days further, they married, and the young man settled into domesticity. The years passed. They had children, and grey flecks began to appear in the hair of the no longer young man. But one day, when he was out tilling the field, he heard a great roar in the distance. And when he looked up, there, coming towards him, was a huge tidal wave. As it approached, enveloping everything in its path, above the roar of the water, the young man heard the voice of his master. Where is my cool cup of fresh spring water? And then there's the final story about a group of ardent Buddhist seekers who invited an erudite and very well-respected Buddhist scholar to come to one of their homes to give them a lecture. When he did, he gave them a very illumined talk about the ways of Buddhism, reminding them to keep mindfulness, to keep the precepts, to do good works. And finally, he said, it's really like filling a sieve with water. And he departed. After he left, they discussed among them how knowledgeable he was, how enlightening was his talk, but how could he say to them that it was just like filling a sieve with water? Is that mean to say that they would never become enlightened? And in fact, they discarded his whole lecture because this phrase puzzled them so much. But there was one woman who was so perturbed by what the teacher had said that she sought him out and asked him, "What did you mean?" And he said, come with me, bring with you a cup and a sieve." And he led the woman down to the edge of the ocean, where they stood on a rock. And he said, "Now, fill the sieve with water." She dipped her cup in the ocean, and of course, it swirled in the bottom of the sieve and quickly ran out. And so the master took the sieve from her hands and threw it far out into the surging waves, where it filled and disappeared into its depths. "You see," said the master, "teacher, it is useless to take the cups of the divine and pour them into individuality. One must take the individuality and throw it far out into the ocean of the divine." So the question that is asked, what is the meaning from your experience of what the no trace, the tidal wave, and the ocean represent for you? What is the meaning of the no trace, the tidal wave, and the ocean mean for you? Thank you.